Flight used to be an experiment, and every flight was fraught with danger. Modern engineering, proper air to ground communication, and safety legislation have made this possible. However, some flight routes are still considered extremely risky, as plane disasters occur often in these areas even after all safety precautions have been implemented. So it's me again, Jacqueline Sandoval. Today's episode will be featuring the most dangerous flight route in the world. Please watch, like, and share to your friends, and we will learn together. Number 1. Bermuda Triangle. For those who are unfamiliar with the Bermuda Triangle, it is a region near the Caribbean and the Southern Atlantic where scores of planes and ships are said to have vanished throughout the years. However, no one can agree on exactly where the Bermuda Triangle is. The borders between Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola fluctuate in reports of these disappearances, but they are most commonly between Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola. This is a zone of danger and death for those who believe in the legend. Of course, anyone who has flown to tourist areas like Miami knows that this isn't the case. Every day, flights pass through the Bermuda Triangle and returns safely. Even yet, the area's weather conditions can make flying a tumultuous, if not particularly dangerous, experience. Number 2. Flights to Indonesia. Aside from the weather and harsh conditions of a place, the type of aircraft utilized by the airline is often used to determine flight routes. Indonesia is one of the countries that has gotten a warning from the International Civil Aviation Organization due to the high number of accidents. 3 planes disasters occurred in the country in 2015. Each of these 3 accidents claimed the lives of 54, 162, and 100 people respectively. Because of the high number of accidents, the European Union has prohibited 59 of the 63 Indonesian carriers from flying within its borders. Prior to 2016, the Federation Aviation Administration, or FAA, had placed Indonesia on the list of Category 2 countries that had violated international aviation safety laws. Number 3. Flight to Nepal. Despite its reputation as the world's happiest country, Nepal's flight route does not appear to accord with the tagline. In fact, the flying route into and out of this country is considered one of the world's most perilous. Why do you think is that? Mount Everest, being the highest mountain in the world, is a peak in the Himalaya mountain range. It is located between Nepal and Tibet. That makes Nepal having the most dangerous terrain in the form of steep mountains. Here, strong air moves through the mountains and bounces upward violently, potentially creating turbulence and disrupting flight. Furthermore, Lukla Airport is close to Mount Everest, and Lukla has been dubbed as the world's most perilous airport. This airport in the Sulukumbu district has a short runway measuring 1,729 feet or 527 meters. Pilots will have a difficult time taking off and landing safely due to the little time and the tiny runway. Number 4. Flights in and out of Syria. Because of Syria's fragile political situation, flights into and out of the country is considered unsafe. Syria is well known, is still racked by the chaos of a civil war that has killed many lives. Due to the conditions of the conflict, a number of flights across the Middle East were deemed dangerous. Travel Advisory on April 20, 2022 states that the U.S. government particularly warns the private U.S. citizens against traveling to Syria to engage in armed conflict. U.S. citizens who undertake such activity face extreme personal risk, including kidnapping by armed groups, unjust arrest, injury, or death. Government of Canada says avoid all travel to Syria due to ongoing armed conflict, terrorism, criminality, arbitrary detention, torture, and forced disappearance. If you're in Syria, you should consider leaving it. It's safe to do so. Number 5. Flights across certain African nations. In 2008, another fatal disaster occurred in the Democratic Republic of Congo, this time killing 40 people. More regrettably, Congo is not alone in Africa when it comes to having poor safety records. Dangerous flight paths are one of the many problems that the governments across the continent are facing. The continent as a whole has one of the most concerning safety records of any region on the planet in terms of flight paths. According to a 5-year study, Africa has a rate of 12.45 accidents per million flights. Although this may not appear to be a significant difference, and it is still safer than driving, it is more than double the rate of any other region. For comparison, the global average for the same period was 2.48 accidents per 1 million flights. Number 6. Certain flights from the Middle East and North Africa into Europe. A catastrophic collision in Libya's Tripoli in 2010 claimed the lives of 103 passengers. Even more regrettably, while the episode was exceptional, it was far from unique. The region's accident rate was 5.43, higher than the global average after a 5-year study. Furthermore, due to perceived risk, Afghanistan and Libya are prohibited from sending flights to Europe. The International Civil Aviation Organization has issued Lebanon a red flag. However, not every flight path or airline is equally responsible for the poor ranking. Emirates and Qatar Airways, two trustworthy international travel staples, are based in the region. Number 7. Certain flights in post-Soviet states. Although the Soviet Union had fallen apart about 30 years ago, its legacy continues in an awful fashion in terms of dangerous flights and risky flight patterns in its former territory. The Commonwealth of Independent Republics, CIS, is a loose coalition of post-Soviet states that works together on international issues. However, antiquated equipment combined with temperatures that make safe flying more difficult continue to be a problem for them. Kazakhstan, for example, has been added to Europe's list of countries to avoid flying to. A red flag warning has also been issued by the United Nations for several aircraft in Georgia. When you consider the downing of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 in Ukraine as a result of Donbas war, the problems of flying into these areas become even more apparent. Although advances in aviation technology have substantially increased the safety of airline passengers, no trip is completely risk-free. Flight routes to certain places or localities are frequently a consideration for flying, in addition to the airline's ability to ensure passengers' safety. However, as at any time when a bigger distance is involved, this can make a more difficult trip. The longer the plane is in the air, the more likely it is that something will go wrong. So this is Jacqueline. Hope you learned something. See you in my next video where you will learn and say Eureka!